Mr. Toastmaster, can speech be traumatic? In this speech, I want to explore the nature of trauma. I want to look at the nature of insult. And I want to bring you to an example of where these things come together and potentially impact on our ability to reason and argue and debate. First, let's look at trauma. Trauma, when originally identified or defined in the 1950s, was something that was outside of the norms of human experience. It was an objective measure. It was being involved in a plane crash. It was being interned in a concentration camp. It was something which most people did not experience in the course of their lives. In the intervening decades, trauma has marginally changed very slowly, but it has now got to a point at which trauma is anything that upsets you. It's personal. It's subjective. And to the extent that trauma is a subjective matter, we may be traumatizing people around us constantly without understanding or having any knowledge of that. Let me talk then about insult. I suggest to you that insult must be taken. It can be given and not taken, or it can be taken where none is given. Insult is a choice. The Toltecs knew this. They counseled, don't make assumptions, don't take anything personally. The Stoics knew this. They understood that we can only control that which is within us and not outside of us. People who insult us are trying to lure us into an argument. They're trying to upset us. They're trying to demean us. If we ignore them, we defeat their argument. It doesn't have an object to give it any life. We breathe no air into it. Insult, therefore, is a choice. And you can choose to be insulted, but it's a self-victimizing choice because it's bringing you the poison of the person insulting you, and you don't have to take it. One of the things that concerns me is the fragility of students in college to minor insult or to controversial argument or to things that they don't like. We're seeing this in US universities for the last 5 or 10 years. We're seeing it in Irish universities more recently. A well-known atheist, Richard Dawkins, was invited to speak in Trinity's HIST. The HIST is one of the oldest debating societies in the world. It's been around since 1747. But was disinvited at the end of September by the incoming auditor of the HIST, who hadn't realized the extent to which he was controversial. He's highly outspoken. And the disinvitation took place after the auditor had been contacted by a number of people in the society objecting to him coming to speak. I ask you, is objecting to hearing controversial views because they're uncomfortable, because they will discomfort the members, somewhat contrary to the aims of a debating society. It feels that way. And I wonder why we've got here. I'm wondering, does our education system have a lot to answer for in that the parents of children coming up today are hothousing them so much to get the perfect academic CVs so that they get the best jobs by getting into the best university courses, by having gone to the best schools, that their children get no free time to play with their friends, to grow up, to take the rough and tumble of childhood and all that goes with it, and sort their own problems in an unsupervised playground, rather than being ferried from activity to activity to activity, to the books, to bed, to school, to activity. I fear that this is the cause of some of the fragility in our children's psyche that doesn't allow them to deal with controversial or upsetting views and make their own sense of them. Edith Eger spent the war in concentration camps as a 19-year-old, started there as a 19-year-old, and later in life wrote a book called The Choice, in which she says victimization can happen to anybody, but victimhood is a choice. You don't have to become a victim, even if you are victimized. I therefore wonder whether it is a choice to be traumatized by speech. I suggest to you that it is a choice, Mr. Toastmaster.